Hello, welcome back to 3D Drawing for Your Model Railway. In today's lesson we're going to continue working on this area here with the machinery under the underframe here. It's going to start to add a bit more detail in. We've got a rod that comes across here and some pulleys that come down to, some rams that come down to support in here. Just looking for a bit more detail to add around it, make it a little bit more realistic. Although it is looking pretty good at the moment, we then need to start thinking about how we're going to best be able to print this, because this is going to be pretty delicate and it will need some interesting support structures around it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to look at is there's quite a large structure in the middle, which I assume is some sort of gearbox. Now, clearly none of the pictures are great at it, and I can't really put too much detail in there because it's not going to be seen. So I'm just going to be looking to draw something in this middle section here, really, that this lot can all be supported on. Before we start adding in the dampers that come across. So first I'm going to do is let's turn off all of the stuff that's not needed. So we'll keep the chassis, we'll turn off the cabs, turn off the toolbox, fuel tank, all this stuff that's above, the bogies and the buffers. Okay, so yeah, we're keeping the chassis, and what we're looking to do is get something towards this mid-plane, some sort of feature in here. Excuse me. So how are we going to achieve this? Well, this is a difficult question. What I'm thinking is we've already got a mid-plane that goes across the wagon. If we look across, select that feature, the radio button here. If we look at this, we've got construction planes. One of these is a mid-plane that goes through this plant machine here. Four, might be three, let's have a look. Yeah, number 3 is our midpoint there. So we could draw something on that plane that comes across to where the midpoint of the wagon is. So if we were to create a sketch, it's already selected that plane, and if we project that top surface, we can find the midpoint from that line and just draw a line down. And we can tick that, and then we select it and change it into a construction line. And then we can work from that. Now, looking at the pictures, it's not clear. None of these pictures are clear about what exactly the shape is under there. But if you look at this, you've got quite a solid unit going all the way across. So we could draw something that comes across, and it comes up, and you see there's, I think, some sort of gearbox here with a drivetrain going into it. So I'm thinking sort of to come across, up, across to the middle, down, and then across to the bottom here. That's what I think I'm going to plan. So we know this is the low point of the frame here. So I'm going to draw a line. I'm actually going to draw it down that mid-plane. I'm going to come, in fact, let's go project that point so we know where it is. We can draw that line down the midpoint. If we come and hover over that little point we just drawn, we know at the same height. Snapped off a bit. Snapped off again. Okay, so it's going to keep snapping off. So what we'll do, we'll just draw a line from there to the midpoint. Then we know it snaps. Draw one up to the top. So that's the bottom half drawn. Now the top half, it looks like it's in line roughly where the pin is, and comes up a little diagonal and then up and across. So if we just draw a line across maybe 2 millimeters, like that. So we know this pin is here, and that's this one that we're looking at here. So we can draw a line that comes from this top line. Again, we're going to have to project that line, and then we can draw from there down at an angle. I'm going to, maybe the halfway point on it. I'm going to use that. That's going to work for me. The problem with that line is it's the frame in the middle here and doesn't go all the way down. So we can fill that in. It's not a problem. I'm going to draw a line from there up to there and then across. Is that filled in? Yes. So we've now got this section there in the middle. If we were to then right click extrude, we can then select and change it to symmetrical. And then as we pull out one side, it will pull out both. If we tell it to join, Okay, see how it's now getting that support features behind. So we now got to work out roughly how wide we want it to be. But you can see here, it doesn't actually come out beyond the wheels. It's actually quite a small piece. So realistically, we only need it to be, thinking, let's just turn it around actually. Just a little bit more. I want it to come to this edge here. So if I just turn that, snap it to that surface. Actually, I'm going to come off of that slightly. I'm going to do 1.1. Just so we've got the shape here of this beam coming across. So we've got 2.2 millimeters across. That's going to be plenty strong enough. You can see it's just keeping a separate body here. But also it's giving us something we can use to mount up into the top of the chassis here, and also give it plenty of meat and support there for when we mirror across. It's not going to be too delicate in that central part. So now we've got this basic shape of this, we've now got something to support this ram on. So we've got a similar sort of situation going on as what we've got here with this U-shape unit, a similar one up the top here. So what I might actually do is just see if I can cheat a little bit. No, I won't. Because what I was going to do is think about creating a body out of this. I might just create too much hassle there. Yeah, so I'm just going to create the one body. So we're going to come back for the mirror point. Or should we take the mirror point out completely? No, we'll leave it in. Yeah, I want to be before the mirror point so that it will copy the same feature across. So if I roll history point back, then we can draw around this. So let's turn chassis off because that'll get in the way. Chassis there. Create a sketch on that surface. So we can see from the pictures it sort of goes back, not quite horizontal, it's just ever so slightly off the horizontal. So I'm going to create using a 3-point rectangle. So a rectangle shape like this. Okay, let's define the length. So that's going to be 1 millimeter. Define the height. It's gone the wrong way, so let's delete that. Try again. So move 0.7. Excuse me. We'll go from the midpoint of that circle, then 0.35. That puts the midpoint top bottom the same. And distance from there, if we go 0.35 again, it's sort of square except the extra bit on the bottom here. The only thing it hasn't got defined is the angle, so if we just define that distance, that sort of locks that angle in. Okay, select the hold shift down, that helps. Select those 3 profiles. We can extrude. Yeah, we need it touching. I'm just going to come out with 0.3 millimeters. Tell that to join. We do have a mid plane, I believe, down the middle of this that we used for mirroring that across. Yep, that mid plane 5. So if we do the mirror on plane, select features first of all, and then the mirror plane is going to be plane 5. That mirrors that across. We just then need to draw a little box on the inside here. Slice that. Draw a rectangle. It needs to be a 3-point rectangle. So draw from there to there. I just come up like that. So 0.2. Give it the strength behind, select those features, and then extrude that. This is the downside of this slice, unfortunately. I can't find a way to turn it off. I'm just going to drag it over, take it to join. Let's go 0.7, see if that's come all the way through yet. Okay, so we've got that shape now for drawing the pipe comes off for the hydraulic ram here. So you can see it starts with short pipe, then a bigger one, and then a slightly smaller one coming down. So we could just draw circles on the back of here, really. That's going to be the easiest way to do it rather than using the pipe tool. We find the midpoint of that. We start with a small one, so if we go for 0.5 millimeters, and we can extrude this backwards in towards the unit like this. Okay, we'll try and work out how far back it goes, sort of where that goes upwards here. So yeah, 1.5 looks like it works okay. Join that. And then we can draw again on the surface of that circle that we just created. Draw a bigger one, we go 0.7, no 0.8 I think. Select those two profiles. It's only just like a cap here, so we don't need to be particularly long. Just drag that, maybe 0.3, cut to join. See how it's cutting in here? That's exactly what I'm after. That's great, because when it comes down, it'll be supported all the way down here. Again, fix the midpoint. So we've got 0.8 on that outside. So if we go, say, 0.7, gives us that slightly smaller size, and we can come back. Hopefully that's cutting. It's not. Okay, so I'm going to go in and change that in a second. I'm going to make this slightly bigger and this slightly bigger. So we come back, yeah, say 2.5 millimeters, again telling it to join. Right, so I'm going to go back in here. I'm just going to change the sketch here from 0.8 to say 0.9. And then the next one, if I edit that, we'll change that to 0.8. So we're still getting the size step downs, but it's now getting supported touching the back here, so it's not going to float and potentially be too easy to break off there. Okay, so see how it cuts in the side here as well. Okay. Okay, now if we just have a look now, we can skip to the end, see if that should copy over okay. Right, we've got an issue with an extrusion here, so we're going to have to look at that and find out what's happening there. Okay, so let's have a look at that sketch. So that's the one we're creating. So it's probably to do with this pipe that we just put in here. So let's finish that. Let's delete that extrusion. Go back into the sketch. If we edit that sketch, you can see how that's now not closed up because of the top here. So if we just close that top up, but we might be able to do that without deleting that extrusion. So if we just go back in here, edit that, close that up. That's fixed it. So what's caused the issue there is because we've got this curved section cutting through here. It's not recognised that top line because we didn't draw the line in. We just used the side of the upright here. So that's how I was able to fix it. Just go back in, draw that line across, and that's fixed that issue. So you can see now we've got these two rams on each side, which match with this photo here. Okay, just to add a bit more detail to this flat surface we've got, I'm going to add on this circular plate here that the drivetrain comes out of. So again, I'm going to want to come back before the mirroring happens. No, actually I can't, because I can't mirror it across underneath this part. I need to mirror it once I've drawn it on that part. We'll also need to mirror it across to the other side as well. So let's do that first. We'll need to mirror that body, and we're going to use the mirror plane being the inside face here. Tell that to join, and then we can draw the circular part on the inside here. So again, I'm creating a sketch just on that surface, and let's look and see if there's any height that we can use. So you can see how this bit that we've got coming across the top here, before it goes diagonally up, sort of sitting in the middle here. I'm going to use that. I'm going to find the midpoint as well. Why won't it stay? Okay, let's project that line, make sure it stays, and we're going to project that corner. Hopefully then they'll stay in the midpoints highlighted. No. I wonder why it's doing that now. It used to work fine. So we'll use the midpoint of the line. We'll go slightly high. It's not the end of the world. I'll go for, let's go 1.7, and I'm just going to extrude that out ever so slightly, only 0.2. Tell that to join, and then if we look at the picture, it's got a cone shape on the end, coming from slightly inside that. So we're going to create another sketch on the inside here. Again, using the circle tool, I'm going to come to 1.4. I'm going to extrude that forwards by 0.8. Again, tell it to join. And then I'm going to chamfer that top off. So I'm not going to use equal distances, I'm going to use two distance. So I'm going to come in, start with 0.2, come down, like that. I'm actually going to come a little bit more in, 0.3. So I come in 0.3 and back to this point by 0.7. So you're creating that cone shape on there. And obviously the drive train goes on to the end here. I'm not going to draw that drive chain on because I want to print this as a separate part and it won't be enabling me to do that. So that's my chamfer then drawn on. I need to then mirror this across to the other side. So we know we've got the midpoint of the unit here. If we draw it that side on, is plane number 3. So we can mirror again those features that we've just drawn there. So we need to have the two extrusions coming out and the chamfer. And then we use the mid plane. So the mirror plane is going to be plane number 3. I'll put that cone also on the other side there. Although it's not copied across properly on this side, which is weird. That is odd why it's doing that. Okay, let's edit that feature. If we take off the chamfer, don't mirror across, and we'll just add the chamfer in ourselves afterwards. Select that outer ring. As I said, we did two distance, we did 0.3. Ah, interesting. Okay, so that's 0.7. Interesting how it seems to have reversed them on the mirror. So that's 0.7 there, be 0.3 on there. That's interesting why those flipped. Interesting, I wonder why it did that. Must be something to do with the mirror, and that's why obviously it threw it out there. But clearly you can see I fixed that. We've got our 0.3 and 0.7. It gives it something a little bit more detail than a large flat surface there. And you can see now how if we add that in with the chassis and everything else. Okay, just it looks. I think it looks the part. It looks relatively detailed. Obviously, if you look at the picture, you can see there's loads of pipes and stuff coming on, and we can add those in with a bit of wire or something. But detail-wise, I think that's pretty much as far as we can go symmetrically with where we're at. This bit on the end here is only on one side of the unit. You can see it's on this side, but not on this side. And if you come across to the other one, it's on the other end there. So what we would have to draw those independently. We can't just mirror that part across. So now we've got this with the whole unit drawn, we can now, as I say, we can draw this part on, but we couldn't do it before any of the mirrors. The only thing we need is, obviously it needs to be the opposite side as well. It's on both sides of the unit. So you can see we've got like a sort of triangular type shape, and it's got these control rods that come out. We can't draw the control rods unless we draw this part as the same part, which means that we then have to have some sort of support structure that goes across and comes back into this unit, so they all then become one, which actually could be possible, because then we could also then draw the drivetrain into the middle. That would actually be quite an interesting way to do that, I think. It would be quite delicate and difficult to print, but it gives us an option. Yeah, let's have a think about that. We'll turn off all this part. So what it would require, as I say, is something coming from here that comes across to the middle for this to sit on. You can then support this on, that then comes outside and then comes down. Interesting. How can we do that? Let's just have the chassis on a second. Let's find out which way round we need this. So we're drawing the one that's to the left of that cutout. So we're drawing this unit. So we need to draw on this end up here, not that end. We're going to copy that across. So what could we do? So let's have a think. If we draw on the front surface of the unit there, turn the chassis off. Let's draw a rectangle. We're going to go all the way across both sides there. It's going to be 4 millimeters across, and let's go 0.5 so we don't interfere with the circle part of the drivetrain here. Lagging. Catch up a second. Select that part. Okay. So let's have the chassis back on. Okay, we've got to try and work out how far across they come. So let's see if we've got, I think we're going the wrong way there. Let's come back this way. So it goes in line with this light here next to the tank. So let's have a look, see if we've got side on picture. Or, so we can see position. So it comes up, it's about halfway along this unit. Or if we go on the engine end, let's just see which engine, which side we've got. So the engine is going to be that end, so we are drawing at the other end. Okay, so it comes up about halfway along this unit here, which was fuel tank. Yeah, roughly in line with where these two filters are. So if we drag that across, to where those filters are. So we're coming across 12 millimeters. Going to tell that to join. Turn the chassis off so it doesn't join the chassis. It'll just join the body for this. That then gives us something we can work down from there. Look underneath again, so we've got what looks like a triangular section coming down to hold the drive shaft on. So I'm going to create a sketch on the side profile of that. I'm going to come down. How low does it go? So this one I'm looking at probably in line with where them pins are, maybe a little bit lower than this pin here, which is there. I'm just going to go a little bit lower than it. I'm going to go to 2 millimeters, I think. I'm going to then create just a little bit on the bottom. Now on the real thing it looks pretty much diagonally straight up. I'm just going to create maybe 0.3 on the bottom, just as a little bit of wall thickness there when it prints. And then I'm going to diagonally come up 60 degrees. Delete that number there, bring that down to 1. Escape that. That's right. So I'm going to snap it up there like that, and then extrude from there to that side. Tell that to join. I might need to come down a bit lower actually because this comes down at an angle. So I'm going to just go and alter that slightly. Edit in the sketch. I'm going to come down to 3 millimeters. That's probably too much. 2.5. That then allows us to have the drivetrain come down at an angle. Okay, so what I'm going to draw now is just this rod, the casing for the drivetrain going in at the back here. So if we just create a sketch on this back surface, find the midpoint, come up slightly. I'm going to go for 0.7 millimeters. Maybe no, I'm going to go a bit bigger. We have 0.9. Let's define the height there. I'm going to go as 0.5. So it's just touching the bottom. The width, I just select the numbers 2 millimeters because that's the correct length. Select that inner circle profile, extrude. We're going to turn that sideways and do 2 sides. When it sticks out, I'm going to come maybe 1.2 millimeters out that way. I'm just going to come enough through so it's going to come past the triangle section. So it's going to come 0.94. It's going to tell it to join. Click on OK. Good. Right. Now I'm going to loft between those two. So I'm going to take that circle profile there, and I'm going to loft to the circle profile that we've got here. Tell that to join. Again, I'm not going to bother too much about drawing, any reductions or the knuckles on there because you're not going to see it underneath, and there's no point. Not for me, anyhow. If you want to go and draw it yourself, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay, so that's, it's filling out that side, and if you look underneath, you're going to see that now, which will be quite good and interesting. Okay, cool. Okay, so the next thing I want is to draw off the side here a profile that comes across that we can have the down members sitting on. So we're going to just draw another rectangle. I'm going to go for 2 millimeters by 0.5 millimeters. Select that profile, extrude. Excuse the jump there, it just jumped inwards. Okay, so how far do we need to come across? Well, the triangle piece is going to come down roughly where this part is behind the wheel. So we just need to come across. We'll come across 3 millimeters, and that'll give us everything we need to go from there to the front there to come down. Yeah, so 3 millimeters, take the join. Okay, so looking at the side profile, you can see we've got a diagonal. It's not coming down vertically, it comes down diagonally across. That looks vertical coming up, and then diagonal coming back across. So I'm going to draw on the side of this little bit we've just extruded. I'm going to draw a line diagonally forwards, and the height wise we're looking to maybe just at the bottom of the wheel there. So the wheel bottom there, so I'm going to come just below that line. I'm going to actually use that midpoint, that's actually quite useful there. I'm going to come that there, define that. Okay, we might just change that to 4 millimeters for ease. And the angle 75. So create a little piece at the bottom. Just a small line at the bottom, maybe again, looking at keeping it horizontal there. I'm going to go 0.3 millimeters. It's gone upwards, let's undo that. Make sure it stays on 0 degrees. That's it. Okay, so then we think, looking at the picture, I think it comes up vertically to about the top of where that bar is. So I'm going to come up, yeah, let's go 1 millimeter, so that's close enough. And then go draw with the line an angle that's going to come forwards. That is going forwards there, but is it going to be? It's definitely more than that. I'm going to come forwards like that, which means I'm going to want this to be longer, which is absolutely fine. So I'm just going to extrude that, edit that sketch. I'm going to make that 3 millimeters. I'm actually going to, just for ease, edit that sketch. I'm going to constrain that circle to that point. Select those top profile and that one we've just drawn there. Oops, don't want move copy. Select those, extrude. Okay, let's rotate it. And we need to extrude to the front of there. So if I just turn that slightly and select that as a height, it will automatically put the thickness in there. It's going to 0.7. Make sure it's drawing. Click on OK. Okay, just so that we've got everything there, I'm going to mirror this at the moment. I could probably mirror it a little bit later, but I'm just going to mirror it while we've got it here. Use the mid-plane of the whole unit. So we've got the top. Find this construction plane. We want that plane number 1 there, which is the midpoint. Actually copy all that across. Yep. Okay, so now looking underneath, we need to have this triangular piece on here. So if let's go back in history beyond the mirroring. So maybe here, and we're going to need to draw it on this end. So create a sketch on the inside surface. And you can see by looking at the shape, it comes up pretty vertical, across, and then diagonal down. So we're going to go from that point, we're going to come up 1.4 millimeters. I'm going to come across 0.5, and then I'm going to come diagonally down to that point there. So we're creating that shape. Again, we're looking for representing it, not necessarily perfection. And then we're going to extrude to the back of the wheel there, tell it to join, click on OK. Then when we jump forward in the history beyond all the mirroring, we've got it on both sides. Okay, so again looking, we've got these U-shaped features that come round again, and a small circular section that comes out. We're going to start with, again I'm going to go back in the history, sorry there's jumping back and forwards here. Edit feature, roll history marker. Back there, I'm going to draw on that surface 2 circles. In fact I'm going to do 1, because then I'm going to copy it downwards, or pattern it. I'm going to go for 0.7mm thickness, define its height from the top surface, 0.4. I'm going to extrude outwards. I'm going to come 1mm, tell that to join. Then you draw a U shape round here. Okay, so probably the easiest way to do that will be to create a sketch on that circular surface here, and then we'll use the center point rectangle. Something like this. So what we're looking at, no, don't want that one. Excuse that. I'm going to go back into it. I started to type the wrong thing there. Find that midpoint. So 0.7 on the height, and I'm going to go for 1mm on the width. I'm going to select those 3 profile parts, extrude that. To join, and then I need to draw on that inside surface. I'm going to tell it to slice it, see what I'm looking at. Draw 2 rectangle profiles, both going to cut into the side of the circle. So width is going to be 0.3, 0.7 as a height. We'll draw the same on the other side. Why won't you draw? Good, because it's cutting through. Let's escape that second. Let's project that point. What canvas have we got turned on there? Turn it off. Yes. Let's draw that there. So again, 0.3 on the width, 0.7 on the height. Select those 2 features, and then I'm going to extrude it. We're taking back this way. I'm going to come 0.5, tell it to join. So we've got like the rectangular U shape there. And I want a small circle coming off the end here that we can use to loft from. So again, find the midpoints, and I'm going to go for 0.6, I think, and extrude this towards us. I'm only going to come forward 0.1, and it's just to create that circle point that we can loft from. Now I'm going to pattern this down, so rectangular pattern, and I'm going to select all of these features that we just created. Oh, that's the basis. Let's use that. Feature, 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 feature. We don't need that upright. Direction, I'm going to go vertically. We need 2 of them, and we're going to bring that down. The height of it. There, 1.4mm. Okay, good. If we jump that back to the end, we should have that on both sides. Why has it not got circles on this side? I bet you that those circles have become new bodies. Let's edit that feature. They have. Tell it to join. There we go, and copy it across as we wanted them. Okay, let's have a look where they come down to. So they're on this beam. They're quite thin, and I've probably drawn them too thick on there. So maybe I want to come back in, just edit that. Got 0.6. Let's come down to 0.4. They're going to be really delicate. And printing them, they'll print, but they'll be really delicate. We're going to have to be very careful with them when it comes to taking them off. This, I'll probably need to move this upwards. So if I edit that sketch, I'm just going to make that 1.5 millimeters. Just gives us a little bit of room to get the two U-shaped features onto that on the outside. So if we create a sketch, I'm going to go this back surface here, slice through it. So we're creating on this inner surface of the down pieces here. Again, just using small rectangles. If we look at the height, it's pretty much right at the bottom on this one. I'm not going to snap it to the bottom. It's going to come up slightly. And I don't want it to snap into the side either. I need to be wider. Let's use the center rectangle again. Find the midpoint. Come up, cross. So the width of the triangle is 0.7. So I'm going to go for 1 millimeter across. That leaves us 0.15 parts coming down the side, just giving that detail. Height, let's go for 0.6. Find the height from there to there. 0.4. Select these three profiles. I'm just going to come away from that unit. 0.3 to join. And then create a sketch on that surface there. Like that. In fact, we'll probably just, we can just select those faces. Don't even need that sketch, just delete that. And just select that face there, and then go to extrude. Like so, 0.4. It's already joining, okay. And then we can pattern features. We're going to select those two features again. Direction, come upwards, and we're going to come right to the top there. Only two of them. Okay, good. And I should have done, before I did that pattern, create a sketch on here. Circle, again we're going to want to slice. Let's find the midpoint. I think we said 0.4 for the circle on the other end. So let's extrude that outwards, 0.1. And then that pattern, we might have to edit that to include, so if we hold control, we include that circle just drawn. I'll then copy that up to the top. I'm going to want to mirror this across. Mirror pattern, and then we need those extrusions. Mirror plane needs to come up to the top. It's plane 1, it's the midpoint. Mirror that over. Lovely. Okay, now what we can do is loft between these two parts here. So loft, you can only do one at a time because otherwise it will get confused as to what you're trying to do. So we'll select the front face of that circle, rotate it round to the front face of that circle, and then it will diagonally draw that in. And if we do the same, do the loft. Doesn't matter whether we go top to bottom or bottom to top. That one to that one. Click OK and join. It's lagging a little bit. Catch up. Okay, and again, I'm just going to mirror these across. So I'm going to mirror these two lofts across on that plane 1. That jumps across. Again, you can see how that's really starting to sort of add in that detail underneath, and it will really close down what you can or can't see on all those gaps underneath it. It's looking really good, I think. Okay, so now that we've got this as a separate body there, we need two of them. We're going to rotate this whole body, copy and rotate it. Let's just fix this, what we've got two bodies of. What is that? Circle there, Y. Okay, let's come back into this, edit that. You should be joining. Yeah, thought that loft might get confused there. Let's edit that. Yeah, it's fixed it. Just coming out, tell it, edit it, and coming back in, it's fixed it fine. Okay, so let's copy this body. So we're going to move copy, create a copy. Okay, we need to rotate it first of all. Do have a midpoint on here. Cancel that. Before we do that, let's draw on this bottom surface a point. I'm going to find the midpoint there to there. Draw that point there. So we now know that's in the middle. And then if I do a copy again, move copy there, and I'm going to want to, as I say, rotate it. So I need to rotate. Circle, please. Can I have that point? Copy. Go around that circle, please. Why won't you let me? No. Set pivot. That's what I want. That point there. Okay. Create a copy. So create a copy. I'll set the pivot as that middle point. And then if I rotate that round 180 and come this way. Why have you not done that? Okay, so it's not liking something there. Let's do copy. Let's try a different way. Paste. Right. Set pivot. That point. Rotate 180 and move this way. Let's try again, move copy. We're still keeping that separate copy there. No, don't want to do that one. We'll get this right, don't worry. We'll get it right. Let's move it to the side to start with, so you can see we've got separate. Rotate axis. Okay, we shouldn't have to actually be able to just do this. Okay, let's try something else. Turn the bogey off. Let's draw a line upwards to maybe pivot around that. sketch on this front surface. I'm just going to draw a line from the midpoint upwards. Finish. Okay. I'm going to try the same again. So move copy, rotate around, really select that line. Yay. Okay, so we've rotated it there using that line. We'll now just allow me to move it back in, like that. Okay, let's have a look, see what the gap is in that middle. So it's quite a small gap actually. Does that come down in line with that cutout? See if I've got a side-on picture of where it is. This end. So the wheel looks like it's roughly in line with the end of this. So I need to maybe come across just a little bit more. 11 millimeters there I've come across. So I've got the wheel in line with that. Obviously if you need to move it slightly different distances, then by all means do that. Click on OK there. We've now, as you can see, we've now got two bodies there for that underslung equipment. The bogey's back on. Looks much better having all that lot filled in. Okay, so I'm going to end the video there because it's probably quite a long one. Hope you've enjoyed watching that. And we've got these parts here that really start to make this look well detailed. Thanks for watching.